Hi everybody, what's up? I'm Camila Maia and I'm here at Space Dev today to show you a solution on how to ensure that an API is responding under a threshold. Let's get together and let's see how we can do this. So let's suppose that we have an API and we want to ensure that every endpoint is responding under a half second, let's say, for example. Here we're going to use the GitHub API, REST API as example, so we can test it and then we don't have to implement REST API. So it could fit with any other REST API. The solution could work with any other REST API. Okay. So first of all, let's get used with the GitHub REST API. We are going to start hitting the /gists endpoint. We are here using Postman just to see how it would work. So if we just get a get and then we put /gists and then we send this request, it will hit the GitHub server and then we are going to receive a 200 and it's okay, and then we are going to have all the gists, public gists with pagination of course, but like we have a lot of gists here, public gists. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is to ensure that this API, this endpoint, is responding under half a second. So how we are going to do this? We are going to do this using a library called ScanAPI. This library ScanAPI is a solution that I have created, but the whole community is working a lot on it, and we are quite proud of it because it can solve a lot of different problems, and one of these problems is this one that I'm going to show you now. So ScanAPI works for every kind of or every type of language. It doesn't matter if the API is written in Python, in Java, or whatever. The only important thing is that the API must be REST. So okay, let's see how it works. The first thing that we have to do is to install ScanAPI. To do that, we have to, first of all, let's enter in our virtual env. So I've created here our Space Dev's virtual env with Python 3. Okay, and then we have to install it and everything. So ScanAPI was written in Python, and every Python library can be installed using pip. So let's use it. And don't worry if you are not using it with Python, or if you don't want to use Python, there are plenty of different stuff that you can use to install this in your server. So you can use GitHub Action that will install it for you, or you can put in your CI pipeline with Travis or SQL CI, wherever. Here I'm going to install it in my machine and I run locally only to show you. So yeah, let's get started installing it. ScanAPI. Sorry, ScanAPI. Yeah, that's it. Now let's go. And now after the installation, we will be able to see that we have now the CLI ScanAPI. So we have the command line interface ScanAPI, so we can do like ScanAPI help, for example. But what we're going to do first is to run. So if we do this ScanAPI run, then it says that we don't have a file specification. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to create a file specification. In this file specification, we are going to um, tell ScanAPI which endpoints it should hit. And afterwards, we are going to say the thing that we want, that the response time should be under half second. So let's get together and try to do this. So the first thing that we have to do is to create ScanAPI.yaml. So we have to create a YAML file to tell ScanAPI which endpoint it should hit. So endpoints, okay. And then, so here's the first endpoint. The name is, let's get this URL. So let's grab, first, let's say the name of the API, it's GitHub API, okay? So the first thing is just put the name of the API and then the base URL. So we are going to specify the base URL, that is api.github.com. Perfect. Now we want to specify the requests that the ScanAPI will hit. So the first one is gists. So it's list gists. Okay, this is the name. The path should be /gist. So it will concatenate these both paths to hit the request. Okay, so this way we ensure that ScanAPI is hitting this endpoint. So let's see if, first of all, it's hitting, if it's getting a proper response. So we have to run ScanAPI run and then ScanAPI YAML. Cool. So we are running here, so it's loading the file. So with our specification is writing a documentation, because the ScanAPI, besides testing if it's the response time will be under the threshold, it also generates a report for you in an HTML file, so this way you can verify it. So yes, this report was created. Let's see. We click here, it says okay, scan API report generated. It says that the response status code was 200. We didn't implement any tests, so for now we have 0 for everything here, and we have only one endpoint, that is /gists. So if you check here, ScanAPI generates a complete report for you that specifies all the request parameters, headers. If you want to recreate the request, you can copy this curl. But the thing that we are interested in is response. Then we have status codes, and here we saw that the time is 1.1. So this is not under our threshold, okay? So then we can check the headers of our response and also the content of our response. So if we click here, we will see all the GIFs that were listed there in Postman 2. So yeah, we have all this information. Cool, awesome. So yeah, for those who doesn't know, GIS is like a snippet of file that it's possible to have here in GitHub. For now, on my personal account, I have no GIS, so as you can see here, there's no GIS. But since I'm not authenticated, once I call this /GIS, it gets all the GIS from all the public repos. So it doesn't matter if it's mine or not, it gets all the public GIS. So that's why it's listed here a lot of GIS, even though I have none. Okay, so this is the first step. We are hitting the /GIS endpoint. So let's create our test. So let's grab here and let's put tests, which is the keyword for the test here at ScanAPI for a request. The first is like response time. Let's put under half second. Okay, and then we do assert. What is this assert? This assert means that is the test that you want to perform. Okay, so it's the sentence that we want to assert. So we're going to see that we're going to say that response dot elapsed time total, it's under half second. Okay, let's run it. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we got one error. Okay, let's get back. Elapsed dot. Okay, and then we are going to assert that this response dot elapsed dot total seconds is under half second. Okay, so here we are going to use this keyword that is called assert to introduce a Python code. So everything that is inside this notation is a Python code, and then we want to create an assertion. So response, so this object is a response object from the class, from the library request. So here we can grab the elapsed dot total seconds for a response, and then the threshold that we said here is 0.5, that is half second. Okay, let's run again and let's see if the test passes. It should not pass since we already saw that it takes more than 1 second. Okay, let's see the report. Okay, we have 0 test passed, 1 test failure. Okay, it says that this assertion is false. You can see here it's 106. So let's suppose that we want this test, so we understand that this will take, so let's say that the response should be under 1 second and 2. Let's see. Okay, and then again it's failing because 1, 2, 34. Let's put it a bit greater threshold, 1 out of 5, and let's ensure that this passes. Okay, now it passed. Because if you see here, the response time is 0.64. It changed a lot, so it's under our threshold. Okay, let's say then we will limit this threshold for 1 second, and otherwise every time that this is greater than 1 second, we want to receive a message, we want to receive an error. Okay, cool. So we did this for the first one. Let's run again with 1 second, just to be sure. It's false because it's 1.4. And let's say that we want to do the same for the next endpoint. Let's go this. So here we have a post. Oh no, first let's use this GIS, but here we are hitting without authentication. So let's hit this endpoint using authentication first of all. So here, if we use authentication and if we use the, also GitHub says that it's better to use this header, so let's use these both headers. And if we hit using the same endpoint but with the authenticated header, what we are going to grab is mine keys, which are an empty list for now. So if you come here and see, I have no keys, so that's why it's returning empty. So let's try to simulate this same experiment here, but with ScanAPI. Let's try to use this authentication. Okay, so first of all, we have to use these headers. So to include the headers in a request, the only thing that we need to do is put the headers here and then the name of the headers and then the value. So let's suppose the value would be this, but I cannot show you my variable, my token, my personal token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my token here, my variable token here. So it's GitHub. Sorry, it's GitHub token. Okay. Why I'm using this notation? Because this is a environment variable that I already exported. So before this video, went here into the terminal and I put export and I put GitHub token, and then I assign a value here, my token, and that's why I have already this environment variable in my terminal. Okay, and this notation here, ScanAPI, when I have uh, this syntax with uppercase, that means that ScanAPI will try to reach an environment variable. Okay, and this is the header, and also let's pass the header that GitHub says that it's a good option. Okay, and pass here. So let's hit this again. Okay, if you see here, I'm still receiving a failure. Great, now I have the environment variable in my specification, but also GitHub says that we have to send the word token before our token. Cool. But there is one detail here. I don't want to show the environment variable in the report, because then everyone will figure out what is my token. So for that, I'm going to configure ScanAPI to hide it. So let's create this configuration file, call it scanapi.conf. And here we are going to set the configurations for a report. And there we want to hide for request headers that have the authorization field. So for all requests that have headers with authorization field, the value will be hidden. Okay, so let's run now. ScanAPI run ScanAPI now.yaml, but passing with flag C the configuration file. Cool. Let's see how it's now. Oh, cool. First of all, the test passes, so the response was under 1 second, and if we hit, we see here there is the authorization, but it says sensitive information, so this information is hidden. Also, if we see now the content, it's empty because now it's not hidden in all the public API, all the public GIS. It's not trying to achieve it. It's trying to get my public GIS. Cool. And as you can see, it was pretty fast this time. The response time was 0.6. Awesome. So let's use another endpoint. Let's try to do the same thing but for another endpoint. Let's now use the GitHub. Sorry, here. Let's create another endpoint that is the name of it. It's create gist. Cool. How is this endpoint? We have here a post, and if you see here, I'm going to use the same headers with the authorization and accept, same headers before, but now in the body I'm going to send a payload that says the files that this gist contain, the name of it, the content, the description of this, and if it's public or not. In this case it's true. Let's see an example. If I hit here, it will return all the information of the gist created. If you come back here, you can see that my gist page 4 was empty, and now it has one gist. So if you access it, there is the information that I have just sent. Cool. Also, if I come back here and if I hit the endpoint again, it will not return empty anymore since I have already a gist. Cool. So let's try to do the same thing here, but with ScanAPI. Let's go. So the endpoint path is the same. So the path is the same. It's gists. As you saw before, I didn't explicitly said which method I was using. That's because get is the default one. But now we want to post, so we need to explicitly say that we want to post now. Otherwise, ScanAPI will try a get. Perfect. And now we need to send this body. Okay. So let's do this. Also, there is one thing. Yeah, let's first put the body. So body, and then we just have to pass the values. So the first one is files, and then the file will be files, and then the first file will be my first gist. This is my first gist. We are going to have content that will be this one. Also, we're going to have a description here. This is the body. Then we have to pass public as true. Cool, we are passing the body. Let's change a bit. ScanAPI gist, just to make it different so we can say which one is which. Yeah, let's try this first, okay? And then we're just going to see one problem. Okay, let's check it. It's 200, this passes, but this one is 401. Why? Because we are not passing the authorization. So here the authorization is passing, but here no. first thing that we could do is to just duplicate this information. So if we try this, then we're going to have the headers. We can run it again. We can check the report, and voila, it's 201. So it created. We can see that it's sensitive information here in the headers. Also the content, it's a gist. If we come here again and reload the page, we have our ScanAPI gist. Cool, so we have a new gist here that is ScanAPI underscore gist. Also, how we could avoid this duplication of code, we could put under the endpoints. So here we could put headers, and then we could remove here from the both requests, because since they are responding to the same endpoint, if I put the information here, it propagates to all the other children requests. So let's go again. Awesome. So if we check here, now it's 200 and 201. All good. We have everything authenticated and authorized. Awesome. But now we want to ensure the same thing. So we want to ensure that response time is under 1 second. So let's copy and paste. Okay, now we want to ensure that for the test, this should be under 1 second again. Let's do it. Cool. So we have 200 passing and 201 not passing. Let's see. This one was 0.6, so it passed, and this one response time was 1.9. That's why it didn't pass. Cool. But we want to avoid this repetition of code, yes? So how could we avoid this? First of all, we could create another file here that is called test underscore response time.yaml. Cool. And now here we can reuse this part here, and we can include, because we are going to include that file. Sorry, yeah, this way. Cool. Then we can use this. Perfect. And same way we can do to this one. And if we run again, that's it. We have again the tests. So we have again the testing, because it was 2 seconds, and here it's all good because it was 0.6 again. So with this way we can have multiple requests under the same test case, that is to test the response time under 1 second. I hope you all enjoy it. Great, so with this solution we can test multiple endpoints with the same test file, because we want to ensure the same thing. I hope you like this solution. I hope you like the library. I hope you like ScanAPI. And I want to thank SpaceDev for having me here. Thank you everybody that watched the video, and see ya. Peace.